Good evening, Lewis.
Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm more excited than anything because we've got a huge month of live shows coming up. This is a quick plug for all of them because you need to know Newcastle this weekend. We're coming to the Civic Theatre, which is going to be great. Kirsten Drysdale's on our show. Also, James Pender from Sammy J is doing the show. Also, Lewis Hobba, who is the #1 drive time host in Newcastle, will also be doing the show.
We did it. We absolutely did it. It's, of course, I come from a long history of steelworkers, coal miners, and rugby league fans. So it only makes sense that me and Michael Hing, a Dungeons and Dragons enthusiast and former computer game commentator, would be crushing it in Steel City.
Not only are they going to be crushing it in Steel City, is Lewis going to be crushing it in Steel City, the next weekend he's going to be crushing it in Bega at the Bega Valley Commemorative Civic Centre, which I maintain is a too long a name for a venue. They should have just gone with BVCA or the BVCC. That would have been much better. We're going to be doing a Rational Fear at the BVCC, including some incredible people like Gabby Bolt, friend of the show, Gabby Bolt, comedian Mick Nevin, who has been through, I think, 2 or 3 bushfires, and also Scott Ludlam, former Senator of Australia. Scott Ludlam will be joining us on the show in Bega.
Well, Australia and New Zealand? Is that what ended up?
Australia and New Zealand, yeah. Former Senator of both countries, Section 44.
Former New Zealand spy, Scott Ludlam.
Yeah, I'm recording my end of A Rational Fear on Gadigal land in the Eora Nation. Sovereignty was never ceded. We need a treaty. Let's start the show. Tonight, I'll bring everyone in for this. Here we go. Bing, 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 bing. Tonight, the world apologises for calling John Cena a respectable actor. And Scott Morrison commits to giving one-off $500 payments to anyone living in postcodes affected by COVID lockdowns, or $10,000 payments if your postcode is in a marginal electorate. And a political party named the New Liberals has won their bid to keep their name, with the AEC ruling that the Liberal Party can't claim ownership over the word Liberal. In other news, we're starting a new party called the Bad Liberals. It's the 4th of June, 2021, and vaccination is the race that stops the nation. This is A Rational Fear. Hi, welcome to A Rational Fear. I'm your host, former blood clot Dan Ilic, and if you're new around here, this is the show that takes a look at the world in chaos and brings order to the mess by making jokes about it. Welcome. Let's meet our first Fearmongers for tonight. He is 1/3 of Australia's favourite absurdist sketch comedy podcast, The Grub, and he's 1/9 of the extended ensemble family of Auntie Donna, but he is 100% Arabica coffee. It's Ben Russell.
Ooh, wake up in the morning with Ben Russell. Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure.
And she's a writer, performer, comedian, director who feels so strongly about media pluracy. She once donated to Wikipedia whilst taking a shit. It's Newcastle's favourite daughter, Beth McMullen. Or Sadie Bruce Lomac.
Yeah, Sadie Bruce Lomac, Beth McMullen. Look, I'm in the transition phase. It's very strange when you change your name to be a performer. Wouldn't recommend it, but it's fun.
And here's the host of the #1 drive time show program in Newcastle. It's the king of the kids who still listen to radio, Lewis Hobba.
Oh, yeah, Dad. Honestly, it's been a great week. The radio show I do with Michael Hing, it fails in so many aspects of quality, listenership, financial, so many losses. And to finally get a big win and for it to be in my new spiritual home of Newcastle is just something else.
Are you preparing for a life post Triple J? Is this what is happening here? You're going to travel to Newcastle. You're seating the beds of commercial radio, kind of intent in Newcastle. Is this a new life for you?
I've been trying to get out since the day I got in. It's a nightmare in there. It's an absolute prison. I've only ever been to Newcastle once, so I have no idea. I don't really know that much about Newcastle. I expect we'll find more out this weekend. I'm excited about it.
Lewis, as the person on the ground, I can confirm that Newcastle is in fact having a full-blown renaissance and is like straight up middle-class paradise. Also, fun fact.
I don't know why you think that attracts me, Beth.
Because it's like, it's just, this is getting very confusing. You can call me whatever you want. No, because it's like, you get everything here. The only thing that it doesn't have that would sort of like tip it into city territory is an IKEA. But it's like so much food. Like, they love their food and drink culture. They just don't know how to prepare a takeaway coffee in like under 15 minutes. But they care a lot, very earnest, beautiful place, beautiful beaches, nature galore. It's truly amazing here. Yeah, I just really want to get out. So.
Coming up on the podcast, we interviewed Daniel Bleakley, who's the guy responsible for the Twitter account Miners in Teslas, as opposed to the OnlyFans account Miners in Teslas, which is a whole different thing. But first, here is a message from this week's sponsor.
This episode of Irrational Fear is brought to you by the National Vaccine Rollout. Remember, it's not a race, it's a marathon, which is the name of a race, but in this case, no one is racing. It's more of a fun one, but not funny. And there's no running, because the National Vaccine Rollout is the gold standard, a monetary policy that was abandoned by Australia in 1932. Still, it sounds nice, like a gold medal that you'd get if you won a race, which the National Vaccine Rollout definitely isn't. Authorised by the Department of Mixed Metaphors and Grasping at Straws, Canberra.
Very good there. Oh, speaking of COVID, Ben, you're in lockdown in Melbourne. How's this fourth lockdown treating you?
I wanna stab myself over and over again. It's the worst. This is actually my fifth lockdown.
Oh my gosh.
I was lucky enough to be in Brisbane towards the start of the year with their little snap down, and that one was cute. That one was fun. This one, it's old. I'm done. I've seen this. I've seen it over and over again.
This is Rocky 5, you know? You're like, actually, Rocky 4 was pretty good. Like, we didn't think they could do it again, and then you're like, you know what? The fifth, that was a bridge too far.
Yeah, it's too much. This is Karate Kid 3. It's no good. Put it in the bin. I'm over it. I'm angry.
I heard a great quote from the acting premier this afternoon. I'll let you play it. He was talking about Scott Morrison and the Commonwealth dicking around.
How can anyone trust anything this Prime Minister says now? Frankly, he's a bullshit artist.
I really enjoyed that. I thought that really summed up a lot of the mood of people in Melbourne, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gone. I mean, yeah. People aren't pissed off at the state government anymore. We're like, why aren't we vaccinated? Why is the hot mess garbage fire of the United States so far ahead with their vaccines, and we are like 2%? It's just, it really grinds my gears, if you will.
Yeah, it is. When they say it's not a race, it definitely does feel like we are an Olympic gold medal tally at the moment. And you're like, what? China, Russia, America beating us? This is outrageous.
It's the list looks a lot, the list looks a lot like the list of countries with the best internet at the moment.
God.
I also
my friend in America was like
delayed by about 3 seconds.
My friend in America was like, hey, how come you guys aren't vaccinated? Like, apparently, like, no one wants to get vaccinated over there. I was like, oh my God, there's like fake news getting across the country as well. It's on us. It's our fault.
It's really bizarre. I've been on phone calls with people on the Bertha Foundation Fellowship who are supporters of this podcast, and all of my colleagues in Zimbabwe have been vaccinated. Zimbabwe is vaccinated, but we're not vaccinated. And it's really funny that the guy's like, well, I could come to Australia, but you can't come here. And I'm like, yeah, that's right.
There's so few of us. Like 25 million is such a small country in the grand scheme of things. Like every other country just be like, what do you do? We could do this in a day.
Yeah. I don't understand what happened. I mean, didn't they approach Australia and be like, Pfizer was like, how many do you want? And they were like, no, we've got our own plan. While they said that on the phone while, fingering their own buttholes, I imagine. It just doesn't make any sense.
Or just jerking off over their low contraction numbers. They were like, we don't even need to think about vaccines. We've got this on lock. We copied Jacinta. We're going to be fine. Yeah. Like, there's no urgency.
The federal government was too busy hatching up new ways to save their rich mates' money to order anyone. It was like, you gave all those tax cuts to the billionaires, but did you get the vaccines? Yeah, I'll get to it in a second.
Yeah.
I think Scott Morrison vaccinated the most important person to Scott Morrison, and then forgot about it. And that was Scott Morrison.
Well, let's play Hang On a Sec while we're talking about vaccines. I'm just going to quickly share my screen here.
Is this
Okay,
going to ask if I'm a robot?
No, here we go. Now, do you guys remember Karen from the Tan who'd walked all of Brighton? Well, that's a woman called Jodie Grollo, and she's like the heiress of a poker machine empire. And she's really leaned into the whole Karen from Brighton thing. She has even created herself an Instagram account called The Real Karen from Brighton. And it's too self-aware to be genuinely funny because she is just needing that hit of serotonin all the time. She's starting to do songs about this lockdown. I'm going to play you one now from her Instagram. This is Hang On a Sec. If you want to chime in and say anything, just say hang on a sec and I'll stop.
Before you even start, can I hang on a sec?
Yeah.
Because this is like all of us, right? All of us who are performers who have to do things on social media to try to like get people to pay attention to us. The reason we do it is for rent. You know what I mean? Like, we don't do it because we love the Instagram attention and love to like plug shit constantly on Twitter. If I was the heiress to that much money, you couldn't fucking pay me any amount of money to do the sort of shit she's doing. Like, there's just like demeaning bullshit Instagram content. I'm like, this is not, I hate that she's doing this. I'm just be rich. You've already clocked it. You've already got to the end result of what you're going back to do. It drives me so crazy.
And she's already ripped off the misfortune of others as well. Like poker machines is the best way to be rich and quiet. You know,
just more ways that she can make families miserable.
Well, speaking of being miserable, like when I was watching this, like my heart breaks for this woman. Like she's incredibly like dead behind the eyes as a start. And it's just like she's mastered the art of like giving so little fucks about anyone other than herself that it just sort of becomes this like eating itself existential meltdown where I'm actually wondering if it's actually just genius performance art. Like I can't quite tell.
Here's Karen from Brighton. She's starting to do songs on Instagram.
Oh.
You know, we need somebody help.
Oh no.
Not just any help. You know, we need that someone. Gladys, help.
Oh my God.
It's working, you know, like just the other day. They preached gold standard. You've got to do it our way. But now they've fucked it up again. Of that I'm sure. So now we need you, Gladys. Please knock upon the door. Help us if you can. We're going down. We would really appreciate it if you came down.
Okay,
hang on a second.
We're down. You can't do that.
You can't run down with down. That's.
I was angry, and then the down with down that really just put me into full fucking fury.
So
what is this?
Okay.
This
sorry,
is like
is this comedy? Is he being comedic?
Usually you have to ask.
I think she's trying to be comedic. I love Peter Lawler on the text line saying, "Please stop, Daniel. There are laws against this."
I just want to offer that. Sorry, imagine if we go back to watching this that she's actually reading a children's storybook. Like, could you just imagine this person telling any other? It's just like the sadness and the sincerity in her eyes.
Yeah. It's like when like Noni Hazelhurst reads like a kid's book, but it has like fuck in it, and you're like, ooh, and it's like an adult version of it. But also, like, if this didn't say, not only does it like a comedic failure because we're like, is it a comedy? But it's also just a straight up parody failure. If this didn't say that it's the Beatles' Help, I would never have known. I would have thought it was an original composition.
Well, if she also, to her credit, if she tried to hit the parody too carefully, the Beatles would have had it removed a long time ago. It would have been, it would have had a takedown notice.
Whenever you post something online, you'll get, comments about like, oh, this isn't actually comedy. And this is what those comments think comedy is.
Won't you please help us, please? Gladys, please Help us, please.
Oh, help me.
Now let's have
Okay,
a look.
but seriously, does she need help? Like, is she really drunk? Like, is this just sort of like months-long lockdown?
Well, let's. You can decide whether she's drunk or not. Let's have a quick flick through her Instagram to see if she likes drinking. What we got here? Yep, she is drinking wine called
White
Carrot.
wine.
She's also loves the odd
Right.
Howard Springs. Oh, she's spent some time in Howard Springs, where she spent a lot of time drinking as well.
Who wants to have a beer with Kazza? Oh, yeah. Who wants to have a beer with Kaz? There is no moderation. We're drinking until we're totally spazzed because we can't go up the country. They don't want us interstate. So thank you, Comrade Andrews. You fucked up our great state, you tool.
Once again, rhyming state with state. A very.
Oh, man.
That's what happened when your brain stops working. You lose all function from the executive. Oh, God.
She doesn't understand what's happening because she's never lived in the actual world. That's why. That's why she's pissed off.
Because wasn't she up in Noosa like for ages? Isn't that where she ran away from when she was she left Brighton to Noosa?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know why she was in Howard Springs. I tried to figure that out. I couldn't quite work that out.
But also, why is she back? Like, I feel like she is one of the people who would be like, love it or leave. And as a person who clearly doesn't love it, I don't quite understand why she hasn't left.
I thought you were saying why is she back on the timeline. I thought you were implying that she was like the Tiger King of 2020.
No, I mean, obviously that goes without saying, but also like those photos, I mean, those videos had like 14,000 views. So I don't really think she's like, turning a profit on this stuff, but like, why doesn't she leave? Why didn't she stay away?
I don't know.
Well, those people never, when they say, love it or leave it, they don't mean them. They mean people that with different colored skin than them.
Now I feel my eyes have been opened.
And when she says "fuck off, we're full," she's actually just had 10 beers, so she's full.
Fuck off, I'm full. Yeah,
I'm full. Yeah.
I'm bloated from VBs.
I'm surprised she got VBs. She must have stolen them from some poor man.
I'm angry that you brought this to the table, Dan. I have to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's left a sour note in my mouth too. Let's move on to the fears. Elephants are roaming China. Yes, over the last year, a herd of 17 elephants have made their way 500 kilometers from home. They've escaped from a national park in southern China and are moseying their way north, pretty much destroying everything on their way. Fearmongers, are you concerned about these elephants, Ben?
Listen, I love a good mish. When you were a kid and drinking was fun and you'd have to go on like a hell mish to like get some food or, go to the bottle shop that didn't check your ID. This is what these elephants are on. They're just like, let's fucking get some kebabs on another place. But they've forgotten at this point what their original mission was, and they're just having a good time. They're up to no good, starting making trouble in the neighborhood. I appreciate it that, knocking on alcohol factories, getting a buzz going, keeping the party rolling. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's a vibe.
They've done like what, a couple of $1 million worth of damage, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I saw a video on the South China Post of mechanics showing how these elephants have busted into their mechanic shop and have drunk two tons of water. They had like 2 big barrels of water, a ton each. And he's like, yeah, when they came in, the water was up here, but now we have no water left. They drunk all of our water.
You know what I want to see come together, actually, is the 17-strong elephant stampede and the 1 million-strong mouse plague of southern New South Wales, of regional New South Wales. Like, would they trample them all, or would they sort of Dumbo style freak out and jump up
terrified.
on stools?
Yeah.
Is this like that old adage? Would you rather fight one elephant-sized mouse or or 1,000 mouth-sized elephants.
Yeah, I like them.
I just wonder if they're like, the pilgrimage, like they're just like, okay, so the pilgrimage for Lawrence Anthony, the former like environmental conservationist, that were like elephants just like go to his house, just like they just know this is the anniversary of his death. Did these guys get like lost at the wake and they just drunk on all the alcohol and they've just continued on and they just really sad about their lost friend?
Well, that's what they think. They think that the leader of the elephant, let's not call them gangs just yet, but soon. They think that she was like, let's go this way, and then they kind of ran into the alcohol factory. I think was a big play, and a bunch of them got drunk. Two of them were like, I'm going home. Get out of here. And they went back to their original territory. And the leader was like, yeah, I know the way. Those guys are idiots. It's this way. You morons. Now.
Yeah. And they were like, I know, I'm an elephant. I never forget the way.
I never forget. Because there's nothing more embarrassing than an elephant that's forgotten the way. They're like, have you forgotten the way? No.
No way.
No, it's this way.
What? I like the idea as well that anytime there's like a herd of elephants causing damage, Rome gets nervous. Like I just like to think that there's someone there being like, not again. It's been 2,000 years and now they're back.
I feel like they are trying to escape political persecution. They're from southern China. They're heading away from Xinjiang province. They don't want to get re-educated. These are elephants who are trying to maintain their culture. And I think good luck to them, I say.
I agree. I think long may they reign. I hope wherever they end up, it's a beautiful life.
They have been leaving them corn and sugarcane for food, but they just want some hot chips. So
second fear this week, AGL is taking Greenpeace to court over a campaign they've run recently. Greenpeace claims that the AGL is Australia's dirtiest polluter, with 85% of the energy giant's electricity coming from coal. Greenpeace's campaign says that they're responsible for more than 42 million tonnes of CO2 in the atmosphere last year, and that they are Australia's biggest domestic contributor to climate change. But here's the rub: AGL are not disputing any of those facts. They're not taking Greenpeace to court for the claims that Greenpeace is saying. They're disputing the fact that Greenpeace is using the logo in the campaign. It's a copyright dispute. Greenpeace is saying, fuck you, Greenpeace. You can't use our logo. And Greenpeace is like, so I think we can. I think we can use your logo if we're going to tell people how bad you are. I was like, what is... Is AGL concerned that Greenpeace is going to trade as an energy company and try to sell electricity in the street? I think that's an interesting idea. I mean, you do get stopped by Greenpeace people in the street all the time. Maybe it'll be, instead of signing up to save Greenpeace, it'll be to sign up to get their electricity from coal from now on.
What a pivot. A strange pivot from Greenpeace, but everyone's got their price.
That's right. We could actually fund a lot more boats if we just sold a shitload of coal.
We use the coal to fuel the boats.
Oh my god! Yeah, you guys actually talked about how good coal is. Do you know once you burn it, you actually get a shitload of energy? Has anyone ever talked about this?
I like the idea of signing something up in the street to Greenpeace and them promising, you'll get a little lump of coal, and your little lump of coal will send you a letter every Christmas, and it'll tell you what's all year.
It's like someone that's been against alcohol and then just takes one sip and it's like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted.
So earlier this year, AGL has been trying to give more of a greener image. So in March, they announced they're going to split the AGL company into two companies. One, AGL, the company we know and love, which will sell electricity, and they promised that company will be carbon neutral as of July. And two, what they're doing is they're taking all of their fossil fuel assets and wrapping it in a second company called Primeco, which will just be the fossil fuel pumping company that no one will ever see. And AGL will be what they call Scope 1 and Scope 2 carbon neutral. So they're gonna look after their own fucking a carbon footprint, but just take electricity from Primeco and sell it on to consumers. It's like, hey, we're just selling electricity. It's whatever you do with it, it's up to you,
For a company that's very finicky about the use of pre-existing brands and logos, it's a bit rich to just call their shit Prime. Is Amazon going to sue them? Is this just going to become a turducken of large suing companies?
Prime Possum is just going to come back and, really take them down for taking the really wholesome image that Prime Possum worked very hard to instill.
Companies always, they want to be seen as people in the eyes of the law, but why can't people be seen as companies? Why can't I be like, I'm going to go crash my car into a store, and people are like, Ben, you're in a lot of trouble. And I'm like, no, sorry, that was Ben Prime. I'm good Ben. That's evil Ben. So you can get him into trouble, but good Ben's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's like a legal Horcrux situation. You're like, I have split my soul 7 ways, 7 companies, and until I commit 7 crimes, you'll never catch all of me.
Well, this is the whole reason why I launched a stage name, was so that I could just go and do shit and not have to worry about the consequences for actual self. And then it's just really confusing and yeah, except all my friends couldn't find me on social media. I had several friends being like, where the fuck did you go? Did you block me? Do you hate me now? And I had to backpedal a little bit.
Yes, but also change the name.
It's so interesting. That idea that companies get away with a lot more than individuals is just phenomenal. Scott Galloway, who's a professor at New York University, wrote this incredible piece this week about the daily burn ratio of CEOs at failing companies. And Steve Ballmer, when he was running Microsoft and he bought Nokia, was burning money at $22 million a day. The guy from WeWork, Newman, was burning $13 million a day, whereas Bernie Madoff, because he's an individual and was running his Ponzi scheme, was only burning $2 million a day. But Steve Ballmer could burn $20 million a day for a few years and never go to jail for it.
It is on one hand crazy when you hear these international stories of people failing upwards, and yet our Prime Minister was managed out of Tourism Australia.
It takes a true genius to get
if you can't sell
out.
A country that is all coast and sunshine, if that is a job that is too hard for you, mind blowing.
Well, you certainly can't vaccinate it if you can't sell it. We'll not be able to
vaccine. Where the bloody hell are you?
It's because all his pitches in the meetings were like mines. I can't think of anything else.
I actually do have one other thing. Gas? Huh? This week's third fear: if you've come off some sick profits off your Dogecoin, the ATO may be keeping its eye on you. Yes, the ATO reckons that profits made on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are subject to capital gains tax. Well, I say to the ATO, come get your tax. I'll give it to you in the dark web. Fuck yeah. Woo, come get it.
Yeah. Great idea, Dan. Start taunting the ATO. I look forward to seeing how this plays out for you.
I'm going to put all my money into NFT memes.
Have you sold an NFT? Has anyone sold an
NFT
yet? Sadie, have you sold an NFT yet?
Oh, I'm too scared to do too much in terms of the fact that I have an incredibly high appetite for risk, really high risk tolerance level, except it has to be really calculated. So I've done deep dives on crypto recently. And I've watched myself lose out on gaining thousands of dollars. Did give a bunch of tips to my ex-partner though, who significantly doubled, made a lot of money. I'm just the wealth of knowledge that hasn't invested yet. So
well,
ATO,
if it's any comfort, they might audit her and put her in prison, or him or her.
Him, ideally. Yeah, that'd be great. Then maybe I could get some back. Yeah, no, except I've thought about different NFTs that I could like try to create. I just love crypto so much, and I just love the idea of all of the regulators just chasing their tails. You know, they're effectively also trying to come after God, what now I'm having a brain blank. The guy with the moon face who owns Tesla and is pumping dough. Like, it's clearly, thank you, Elon Musk, insider trading. And like, they're just panicking. And they're like, we're going to get your money. Yeah, he just has like a weird face. Anyway.
I was like, Burton Newton owns Tesla?
Yeah, it's a new crypto. Good morning, Australia, and it's going to the moon, baby. Oh, to the old moon face. It's like one of those things where I'm like when I saw this story, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, like, it's profit, tax it. Like, this didn't seem like a particularly crazy story to me. It's just so funny that the ATO recently, their big things have been like, we're going to crack down on small business, we're going to crack down on new investors, mostly young people who are just trying out $1,000 here and there on funny stuff. Obviously, all the things we'll keep avoiding are all the other things that are the billion-dollar industries and the people who don't pay tax at all.
Yeah, like the CEOs that got bonuses for paying their staff on JobKeeper. Then, like, we'll investigate it, but investigate it.
A totally wild story came out today about Shell not paying their resource rent tax. Of their Gorgon plant in Western Australia, they're not even going to pay the tax. They're just basically going to wrap up the plant and check out without paying tax. And no one blinks an eye, like, because they're just like, no, we're not going to pay tax, and that's it. There's no
crazy.
Else. Can I say that when I make millions of dollars on crypto, I'm not paying tax on that?
You can't if you make millions, but they will let you if you make billions. If you get to that B, you can pretty much do whatever you like.
What amount of money do you have to have before you stop paying people for their work?
I think you have to get to the T. That's Bezos money.
Okay, cool. Right.
Yeah. Or anyone in entertainment. They're the two extremes.
Excellent. Okay, let's bring Dan in here. Dan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha.
Excellent.
All right. Next up, we've got a bloke who has been taking his Tesla all throughout regional Queensland and allowing miners to hop in it and take it for a ride. And the results are pretty crazy. If you've seen the Twitter account Miners in Teslas, you would have seen a whole bunch of videos of miners having a really good time in Teslas, including, I don't think he's a miner, but Bob Catter himself taking your Tesla for a spin. Joining us is Daniel Bleakley, the owner of the account Miners in Teslas. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having me, and it's nice to communicate with you on a platform other than Twitter for the first time. So, yeah.
That's right. Long-time follower, first-time talker. Daniel, now tell us about Miners and Teslas. Where did you come up with this idea, and why are you allowing miners to go, forcing miners to hop in your car and take it for a drive?
So I've been a climate activist for about 2 years now, or basically full-time activist, and I've done a number of actions with groups like Extinction Rebellion and other groups. My background's in engineering, and I actually grew up in a small coal mining town in Claremont in central Queensland, which is the closest town to the Adani mine. But I haven't lived there for a long time, and I live in Melbourne now. And about a month ago, or a bit over a month ago, I came back to my hometown for a holiday, and I brought my Tesla, which I've had for about 18 months. And I was staying with my brother, and he works at one of the coal mines in the region, and he took the Tesla to work for they call it a swing. A swing is like a week when you go and work and you come back for a week. So he took it for a week, and I said to him, look, if you take any of your mates for a drive, just take a video of them experiencing the acceleration. And so he did. And the first guy he got in there, he's a guy named Mark. And I haven't met Mark, but I really want to. He's got a big goatee. He's got a mullet. He's he's now a former petrol head. He's no longer a petrol head. and he works at the mine where my brother does. And my brother put him in the driver's seat straight up, took him to a quiet road outside of town, and came to a complete stop, and just said to him, "Just plant it." And so Mark just planted it, his foot, and he wasn't expecting it, but the car does 0 to 100 in about 3.3 seconds, which is faster than a Lamborghini. And he wasn't expecting it, and you see this amazing joy on his face as he's accelerating. And yeah, we put the video up online, and it went viral around the world. A whole bunch of Tesla accounts shared it in the US and UK and other countries around the world. And then kind of realized, wow, we're really onto something here. As an activist, you're always looking for ways to communicate your message, and there's been that divide created in large part by the media. And the great thing about this action, I believe, is that it kind of brings us together, and it's just a moment of joy where we're experiencing this incredible clean technology together.
And how have you taken to your car being used as this prop? Like, how do you feel about your own personal car? You're not even being paid by Tesla. Like, how do you feel about your part in this?
Well, I originally bought the car 18 months ago, not because I needed a car, but I bought it for activism. I bought it to show people how amazing electric vehicles are. Like, I live in Fitzroy North in Melbourne, so I don't need a car. I love riding my bike around, but I want people to see just how truly phenomenal the performance of modern electric vehicles is. Like, they're just incredible. And so I bought it 18 months ago, and I said to myself, I want to put as many people in this car as I possibly can, either in the passenger seat or in the driver's seat. And then COVID hit, so that's slowed us down a little bit. But now they're bringing it out to the regions. Like, people up here, they absolutely love cars. They love the performance, and they seem to love it even more than people in the city, to be honest. Yeah.
Daniel, how have like your mates, your brother's mates, people up there responded to, it's not just, I guess it's not just a guy in a car. Like, the implication, I guess, is it's miners in Teslas. Like, it's kind of, the whole point of it is it's supposed to be sort of bridging this divide. How have they felt to sort of become the, I guess, faces of this movement that maybe they were for or maybe they were against?
It's a really good question. The guy Mark, on the video that's received the most views, he's absolutely loving it. Like, he is loving his newfound fame. And so when I first posted it, my brother was still working, so he sent me the video and I posted it, and the guys were going on to night shift that night, and my brother said, "Oh, there's like 20 guys on his crew who've just created new Twitter accounts so they could watch it go viral and read the comments as it was going viral." So yeah,
not only are you building the pie for Tesla, but you're increasing Twitter's market cap as well.
Exactly.
This is great news. This is great news.
Exactly.
Daniel, how anti-clean technology do I have to pretend to be to get a drive?
We here at Coal Miners Driving Teslas, we do not discriminate. We will take anyone for a drive, no matter whether you're for or against clean technology. I can guarantee you that you're going to have a good time, and it's going to put a smile on your face. And if I'm in the region, hit me up, and I'll definitely take.
We live very close to each other.
Oh,
I don't want to dox myself, but let's just say that we are neighbors.
Okay.
Now, the big question though is, can it play Doom?
That's also a good question. There's a whole number of games that you can play. So it's got Netflix, it's got YouTube, and there's a games section.
Grand Theft Auto, really popular.
That's wild.
Seriously, like gaming is a big part of Tesla vision, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put Doom in there, at some point.
Oh, I can't help but sort of be the annoying token woman right now. Like, I've blacked out a couple of times in this conversation, giving zero fucks about cars and performance, and then also gaming. But I did notice that like there are some women in your videos that you've taken driving. Do you have an observation around like if there is a gender divide in what the reactions are, or is it just like cars across the board? Like, is it like a rule that if you are working in mining, like you care about fast cars?
I wouldn't say it's a rule, but and we're not trying to just focus on men with this project. We're trying to, that's not what we're about. But the fact of the matter is, the culture up here is that a lot of men are into driving cars. It's just like a bit of a blokey kind of culture up here, and I mean, take women for drives and as well, but it's the majority of coal miners are men. That's just the way it is, unfortunately.
AKA the ones who are holding the power over the new like energy technology, the men. I'm sorry, I think we can see what the problem is here.
Daniel,
well, I wouldn't say the workers here are like holding the power. They're just workers, they're just working the coal mines. So.
Daniel, I think like certainly in Perth during the mining boom, everyone ended up with 1 or 2 jet skis. Do you think the jet ski industry might be quite terrified of what your account might do to their bottom line if people start thinking that maybe a Tesla's a better investment?
But yeah, potentially, and I think that's going to happen because the smiles and the laughs that I've seen from people driving the Tesla, like you get so much more joy out of it than riding around one of those noisy jet skis. Maybe Tesla will start making jet skis, and they'll be silent, and our beaches will be peaceful again. But yeah, who knows?
It's so good. I watched the account on the weekend and was just like, oh man, like this is. I was like, this is smart. This feels like activism that actually works. I was like, this is really good.
Yeah, I really appreciate that comment, Lewis. As an activist, as I was saying before, you're always constantly looking for ways to communicate, and it's always adversarial. Like myself, coming from regional Queensland, coming from coal mining community, and I've been involved in some actions that have received a lot of media, and there's been that tension there for me between myself and my home community, my family and my friends who I grew up with. There's been that tension, but this action feels different. This action feels like it's kind of bringing us together a little bit more.
Yeah, it's almost like there's in activism a lack of willingness to provide hope, to provide the solution, to kind of provide the vision for what the future could be. Because a lot of activism is a lot of kind of moral, kind of standing on your like moral grandstanding and slapping down people for the way they live. But if you can provide a way to show what the future might look like, you might be able to bring people with you. I think that's a really interesting and powerful thing you've done, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And I think I mentioned this in the article, the Guardian article interview that I did last week. Is that like tradition? And this isn't saying that like I'm not saying that traditional activism doesn't work. It really does. And what Extinction Rebellion and other groups are doing is so important, and have to keep doing it. But what I was saying in the Guardian interview is that like generally activism is about saying stop. It's about saying no. But this is saying here is a spaceship from the future, and you can drive it, and it's awesome, and we can all have this if we choose it. That's what this is about.
My favorite thing about it is the joy element, and using joy and like just pure delight. Like it's just so simple, and like what Dan was saying before about activism needing to be sort of like complex and breaking things down. It's like you've tapped into something that is just so inherently delightful, and creating
even watching Bob
Yeah.
Catter say "yeehaw" was delightful, and I never thought I'd find that delightful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the very simplistic lizard brain kind of response, wasn't it? It's like, me like fast cars, me like fast cars. Whoa!
I expected him to go yeehaw and then go deadpan and go, it's a shame that someone's taken by a crocodile.
Yeah, I was like really stoked that we got one yeehaw, and the second yeehaw I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. The third yeehaw I was like, okay, this is getting a bit weird, but it's still cool.
What you've experienced is every conversation with Bob Catter. Like, oh, cool. Oh, wait. Oh no.
That said, I had 3 hours with Bob, and it was really good to have a chat with him. But getting back to your question, to your point about like the joy, for me, like some of the best. There's about 17 up there now, and I think some of the best ones are my brother with guys that he works with and guys that we've grown up with, and I'm not in the car, so
yeah,
you know, it's my brother and his mates in this awesome piece of kit, and they're having a good time. Like they're just having a good time, and you get a window into the Central Queensland culture and the Central Queensland sense of humor, and it's something that people in the cities never get to experience, because even if you come up here and you have a chat with someone up here, you're not going to get the real deal. Like the real deal is when you're a local, when you've grown up with someone, and you get that fantastic sense of humor, that interaction that you see. So I think that's what makes these videos really, really beautiful. You know,
they're quite. I feel like your brother is similar to my brother, and listening to him talk with his friends as well, it feels like a very intimate friendship in those spaces, and it's a real nice window. So Daniel is very clever, but also very good, very funny. So well done to you.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate that, mate.
All right. Well, this is pretty much it for Rational Fear tonight. Big thank you to Sadie Bruce, Lomac, Ben Russell, Lewis Hobba, Daniel Bleakley. You guys have got anything to plug? Ben, you want to plug anything?
I have a web series called Hug the Sun out at the moment. It's on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and look up Grouse House. That's the channel that it's on. And it's it's a 90s or late 80s, early 90s after school kids variety show with strong overtones promoting a sun worshipping cult. Yeah.
It's safe to say, and I don't think I'm being too unkind here to say, it's demented. Is that?
It's cursed.
It's fucked.
Sadie Bruce, Lomac, would you like to plug anything?
Well, yeah, actually, like speaking of, you know, our friend from earlier in the show, Karen, how she has so many followers on Instagram. I'm trying to start a movement on Instagram. Are men okay? And I'm really asking people to sort of like submit their screenshots, anything associated with like behavior where you're like, men, are they glitching out? Like, are they okay? And it's just at Are Men Actually Okay? I got no followers yet. But like, get on there, and I'm posting the hot memes. We're gonna do it. I've got some good ones from Bumble Research. Believe me. Oh my god.
Lots of content. Because spoiler alert, we're not.
Really bad.
I know. That's
I'm just gonna.
We're fucked.
Real bad.
Lewis, are you okay?
No. But you know what does make me feel okay, Dan? The great city of Newcastle. That's what I love. I love everything about it. It's a love-in, and I can't wait to go and visit it on this weekend, mostly just so I can hang out and look around, try to spot a John's brother, and then eventually at some point we'll do a show at the Civic Theatre, which I'm really excited about.
Yes. Also, we're going to be performing at Bega as well, so make sure you come along to that. Daniel Bleakley, do you want to plug anything?
Well, I'm obviously going to plug Coal Miners in Teslas, the YouTube channel, which we've got 17 episodes up now, and yesterday we were actually featured in not featured, but we got a mention in the New Yorker magazine. So we're going global. Right. But I also want to plug our Patreon account, which is also Coal Miners in Teslas, because what we're trying to do now is keep this project going. I want to run this project until the election, and I want to go to as many regional towns in Australia as possible and put as many people in the seat, film their reactions, talk to them about clean technology, talk to them about the future and how awesome it can be. But I need some support. So if any of your listeners are happy to chip in, yeah, we have a Patreon account at Coal Miners in Teslas.
Yeah, Rational Fear is also a supporter of coal miners and Teslas. We've just signed up to help you out.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of Patreon, I want to thank our new Patreon members this week: Gabriel Trembe, Andrew Zer, Lindy Conway, Simon Gribble, and Julia Zamiro from Television is a Patreon supporter of us this week. Big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Also, big thanks to Road Mikes, the Bertha Foundation, as also Rupert Degas and Jacob Brown on the Teppanyaki timeline. Until next week, there's always something to be scared of. Good night. Also, here's a sketch I left out. It's an interview I did with Christian Porter's lawyer. You can listen to it whenever you like. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
That was great fun.
Yay.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that
Daniel.
was awesome.
Newcastle.
Can I? This is not for the radio, not for the thingo. But when you sent me the email earlier, Dan, of like with everyone that was on the show, and you sent the list, I think you put